Go ahead and call the meeting to order for the Raymore City Council regular meeting for Monday, November the 13th. Can I please have the roll call?
Councilmember Abdelgawad.
Here.
Councilmember Barber absent. Councilmember Berenson.
Present.
Councilmember Burke.
Present.
Councilmember Holman.
Present.
Councilmember Kellogg.
Present.
Councilmember Moorhead.
Present.
Councilmember Townsend absent. Mayor Turnbow.
Present. Could you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is presentations and awards, or which there are none, and we'll move on to number 5 on the agenda, personal appearances. Tonight we have with us a Mr. Jim Haddock. Would like to address the board on bills number 3305 and 3306. Mr. Haddock, you step forward, state your name and address for the record, and keep your comments to 5 minutes, please.
Hi, my name is Jim Haddock. I live at 909 Wesley Circle. I'm really here primarily just to say thank you. There was a resolution passed recently, 1758, amended the schedule of fees, and then I know the first reading, I'm sorry I'm late with this, I should have come at the first reading of 3305 and 3306, but a lot of work went into that, and I wanted to thank Mr. Fearborn, and I don't see Ms. Watson here. Obviously, she put a lot of time and effort. I appreciated the council's comments at the first reading. It was obvious that you were concerned and wanted to understand it. I am one of the residents that thinks, I'm confident that this is customer friendly, very much so. I know that there was some hesitation that it may be viewed another way, but I'm one that absolutely believes it's customer friendly. The only thing I'd add, and I know it was passed unanimously, so I hesitate to add anything because I am in favor of the bills, is that I re-listened to the last meeting, the first reading, and the comments that were made at that time. And the one thing that I really think is important about this is the adjustment from 5 years to 2 years. That wasn't really talked about, I think, by the council in that improvement. And what I'm specifically talking about is the refund of the meter deposits at 2 years of good payment as opposed to 5. And I wanted to throw out a couple numbers. I was hoping Ms. Watson was here to confirm this. In 2010, when the bill was passed that changed it to 5 years, the meter deposit accounts balance was $304,815. And that fiscal year ending 2016, October 2016, that was $567,580. And my point with saying this is that the 5 years had absorbed over that 6 years of time, that 5 year requirement had absorbed $267,000 of the citizens' money to fix a problem that wasn't there. I think I heard Ms. Watson say at one time the default rate was something like 4%, which I think her comment, this was in a work session some time ago, was it was very low. So I just, at the end of the day, thank you. I think that's the most important thing, and I just wanted to stress that.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much, Jim. Move on to staff reports. Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask Mr. Gress to make a report for community development in Mr. Cataret's absence.
Thank you, sir. A couple of things for you all here this evening. October was yet again another great month for community development and building inspections activity in the city of Raymore. This time we remain ahead of last year's pace as far as building permits and construction activity is concerned in the city. And yet again, this last month we came in at number 7th in the region for construction activity in the region. So it's good to see the amount of activity again going on within the city and being recognized for it kind of in comparison to our peer cities throughout the region. So we're looking forward to finishing out the year strong. Looking ahead of schedule at some of our upcoming meetings here, the Planning and Zoning Commission will meet next week on November 21st to discuss 3 cases, 2 of which are considerations for reclassification of zoning for a couple parcels of land over in the Cumberland Plaza area, as well as a reclassification of the zoning for a tract of land at the intersection of Dean Avenue and North Cass Parkway over at the Good Ranch. So we'll consider those applications next week. And the third one is Westbrook at 13th, or Westbrook at Creekmore 13th plat. They've added, folks up in Creekmore have added a couple lots as they continue to build out that subdivision. All 3 of those cases will be brought forward to City Council within the first couple weeks of December. So we will look forward to those when they come forward. This would conclude staff report for community development.
Thank you, David. Any questions of staff? not, Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, Mr. Gress. I would ask Chief Zimmerman to make a report for Police Department Emergency Management.
Thank you, Mr. Fearborn. I understand that many of you expressed an interest in hearing about mental health and crisis intervention. Mr. Fearborn and I have discussed providing a more in-depth report to you all or discussion during a work session, possibly after the first of the year. But I wanted to give you a little information tonight. It's particularly timely to talk about mental health tonight because we just attended the Mid-America Crisis Intervention Team Council Award Ceremony at the KCPD headquarters last Thursday. Master Police Officer Jesse Walkingstick was honored as the Raymore CIT Officer of the Year for his ongoing assistance to a Raymore citizen who's struggling with schizophrenia. A formal crisis intervention program was started here in 2012, although all Raymore officers had been trained prior to starting the formal program. And by formal, I mean that responding officers started taking reports. You have one of those in front of you at your place. The reports that we take and are working with a community mental health liaison and other providers like Pathways to provide informed support and referrals to residents who are struggling with mental health issues. Law enforcement officers and dispatchers, because now our dispatchers receive training as well in crisis intervention, encounter individuals in crisis every single day, whether it has anything to do with mental health issues or not. You know, people are struggling with something that causes them to reach out to the police department, so they are in crisis. The real value of the program, obviously, is the training, de-escalation, problem-solving, communications, and also the partnerships with those agencies that I mentioned, like the Community Mental Health Liaison and Pathways and folks like that, who are utilized as resources. As you can see from the map that I provided to you all at each one of your places as well, there are many active and long-established crisis intervention councils throughout the state of Missouri, much like the one that we belong to here that we just went to the awards ceremony for. Following the Memphis model of the CIT, Missouri is far ahead of many other states who haven't yet established the breadth and depth of the councils that we have here in the state of Missouri. I'm sure many of you are aware that Lieutenant Ali Abdelgawad serves as our coordinator for crisis intervention in Raymore and was selected as the Mid-America CIT Coordinator of the Year in 2013. The following represents, and I'll just do this really briefly, Raymore PD's response since the inception of the program at the end of 2012. 77 reports in 2013, 60 in 14, 59 in 15. So always right around, you know, that same number. 2016 was 90, but 28 of those reports were for one person. And we see that fairly frequently, where we're responding multiple times until we get an individual the assistance that they need. And year to date in 2017 is 85, the same sort of situation where we've dealt with one individual over and over again, trying to get them the assistance that they need. And there's been about 20 responses for that individual in 2017. Many of the agencies throughout Cass County, I know that was a question that you all had, have crisis intervention team trained officers and coordinators like Lieutenant Abdelgawad, although I'm fairly certain that none are as good as ours is, so, you know, they can't have him. But Belton, Cass County, Peculiar, Harrisonville, Garden City, all have CIT teams and CIT coordinators as well. Lake Winnebago has officers, and so does Pleasant Hill. So, you know, we have a wealth of individuals trained, you know, throughout this area to assist with those issues involving mental health all throughout the communities here in Cass County. And finally, at your each of your places, I've also included a little bit of information about New Directions, which is our employee assistance program, which is provided to our employees and their families in crisis or just with everyday challenges. So I wanted to make sure that we had a little bit of that there. And then, as I mentioned, if it's your desire, we certainly are happy to come back after the first of the year at a work session and talk much more in depth about crisis intervention and the support that we provide not only to the community but to our officers and to the rest of our employees throughout the city. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Anybody have any questions? Mr. Holman.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chief. You weren't at our work session when I requested this specifically. You've heard me mention before, our police blotter is public information at some point during the week, and probably most people don't follow it. But if you read through there, you'll note an average of what I count about 2 suicidal subjects or 2 suicidal subject calls per week that our police department goes out on. And that's just on average. Those are just the ones that they get notified on. And so my question becomes, in a city such as ours, that is as blessed as ours is, what else can we do? Because our police department has made sure that they have gone out and got the best possible training and the best possible people doing what they're doing. And they've made those community partnerships, but it is still a reactive effort. We have to wait until we run into those people to know that they're in crisis. And at the point that they're talking about killing themselves, becoming suicidal, that crisis has reached the highest point that it possibly can. So my question was, Chief, is there anything else that this body can do or the city as a whole can do to perhaps do some preventative efforts? Are there things that we can offer, at least to look into that subject and see what we might be able to do? Maybe there's nothing there, but I think it's worthy of a conversation on our part at a minimum.
Actually, and we are exploring, Johnson County Mental Health does training for the community to advise people what to look for and that sort of thing, and we are exploring that, myself and HR.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone? Mr. Fearborn?
Thanks, Chief. I'd ask Mr. Icky to make a report.
That's a dramatic entrance there. I just like.
Always enjoy making an entrance. Thank you, sir. I want to start my report tonight. I'll start and finish it the same way. All of the information that I'll speak to tonight can be found on our website when we speak about the change in service for our trash provider after the first of the year. So I would encourage all of our residents to go to raymore.com/trash. And so very quickly, I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot of where we are currently and some of the highlights here in the next 2 months to ensure kind of a smooth transition for our residents, to make sure that they know of the important upcoming dates and kind of what to look forward to. So we already went through the deadline for the selection of trash carts through Jim's Disposal, and we had about 3,500 residents respond to the postcards, the ads, as well as the mailers and the signs, which is pretty incredible given that we have about 7,200 homes that provide, or that we provide trash service to. What you begin seeing here in the next few months are going to be a new set of signs. This week we're going to be announcing and pointing residents to our website to announce the 2 new trash dates. As our community continues to grow, Jim's Disposal will be splitting our trash day to Wednesday and Thursday. Mr. Gress has put a map up on the kind of the projector as well as your screens that'll indicate the division. So the dividing line for our new trash days is going to be Lucy Webb and Madison. So if you live north of Lucy Webb and west of Madison, your trash day will remain on Wednesday. If you live south of Lucy Webb and east of Madison, your trash day will be moving to Thursday. Recycling, yard waste, and other bulky items will also be picked up on those same days. But once you're assigned either that Wednesday or Thursday date, that will be your trash day for the remainder of this service period. This map, interactive, will be on our website. So any residents can go to our website, raymore.com/trash, type in their address, and they can find exactly where they are. If you live on Lucy Webb or on Madison, it really depends on which side of the road you live on. If you live on that north side of Lucy Webb, you'll be on that Wednesday trash day. If you live on the east side of Madison, you'll be on the Thursday. And so really it just divides very easily. The 2 dates that we're really going to be pointing to here in the next month, and the city will have a mailer going out as well as Jim's will be placing signs throughout the community. We're going to be picking up, I say we, I'm sorry, WCA, or Jim's, I'm sorry, let's start with Jim's. Jim's Disposal will be dropping off the new trash carts, the 2 trash carts that we have sitting in the lobby of City Hall, the trash and recycling. They're going to be dropping those off starting December 11th. And the contractor believes that it'll take about 7 to 10 days to drop off all of those new trash carts throughout the community. And so that'll start on December 11th. The pickup for the current WCA and Town and Country carts will occur on the final trash day of the year on December 27th. WCA will also be using December 28th as a cleanup day, and so our residents will need to use their WCA carts all the way through to the end of the year until that last trash day, and they won't use their GYM's trash carts or recycling carts until January 3rd or January 4th. And so it may be a little confusing at first, and so that's why we have a lot of information going out right now, have a lot of information on our website as well as being mailed directly to residents, just so we can ensure, again, that smooth transition. And everyone can go to raymore.com/trash to find all of this information as well as the map, my contact information if they have questions, or they can contact our utility office as well.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions of Mike? Mr. Holman?
Excellent work to get roughly 50% of the people to respond to the campaign that you put out. That's really good. I would assume, I remember during our presentation on this topic and the new provider that we have a carryover or backup day if they miss some. I would assume in those first few weeks they're going to anticipate a little bit of confusion on that part, and that third day or that carryover day is going to be there for those that I missed it because my day was supposed to be on Wednesday, but I heard my neighbor say it was Thursday and I put it out for the wrong day. Is that a correct assumption?
Absolutely. That Friday, I believe, is the carryover day.
Okay. Right.
And we will also continue through not just direct mailers, but the Raymore Review comes out that 1st of January. And so we'll be hitting our residents with more of that same information just to ensure that we reach everyone.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? If not, Mr. Pureborn. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Hickey. The council's work session next Monday night, November 20th. There are currently 2 items on your agenda for that evening. Primary one being it is time for the annual joint meeting with the chamber. We heard from Sherry today that 6 members of the chamber board have committed to being here on Monday night. So probably be best turnout you've seen in quite some time. The second item that we'll be on is the council's schedule for for January and February, and to some degree the end of December, obviously with the holidays there, is a little odd in that a whole bunch of the holidays are falling on council nights. So we kind of thought it would be a good idea to review December, January, and February with the council to see what your desire is as far as meetings are concerned during those 3 months, because there are a lot of dates that are canceled dates. Those are the 2 items that are on so far. That concludes staff reports this evening, sir.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions of Jim? All right. We'll move on to, there are no committee reports. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to dispose of the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda to include items A, City Council minutes for October 23, 2017, and item B, the final acceptance for the public improvements for Cunningham 2nd.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve both items on this consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 6-0, 2 absent. I'll move on to unfinished business at this time. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3305 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3305 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, amending Section 705.040 water meters, Section 705.100 water rates, Section 705.110 monthly billings to be sent, Section 705.120 10% penalty, Section 705.130 disconnect water, and Section 705.150 water service deposits of the Raymore City Code.
Thank you. Is there a motion to dispose of Bill 3305?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3305, amending the City Code Section 705 regarding water.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3305. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 6-0, 2 absent. Okay, please have the second reading of Bill 3306 by title only.
The second reading of Bill 3306 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore amending Section 710.380 sewer rates, Section 710.400 disconnection of service when, and Section 710.440 sewer service deposits of the Raymore City Code.
Thank you. Is there a motion to dispose of the second reading of Bill 3306?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3306, amending City Code Section 710 regarding sewers.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3306. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 6-0, 2 absent. Thank you. Okay, please have the second reading of Bill 3308 by title only.
The second reading of Bill 3308 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Tandem Paving Company, Inc., project number 17-262, in the amount of $222,013.50, and authorizing the city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you. Is there a motion to dispose of Bill 3308?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3308 for an award of contract for Memorial Park improvement projects.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3308. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries again 6-0, 2 absent. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3309 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3309 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Black & McDonald for the streetlight installation project, project number 17-276-201, in the amount of $112,043, and authorizing the city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you. Is there a motion to dispose of the second reading of Bill 3309?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3309 for an award of contract for the fiscal year 2017 streetlight installation project.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3309. Any further discussion? Mr. Kellogg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to see this, and I will gladly vote on it, but I want to clarify that this is also part of 2017, and there are other streetlights that we have approved this council for 2018. This does not interfere with that, and I want the folks to know that those projects are still coming. This is something else that is in addition. So this is an amendment to last year's budget, and the streetlights that the council spoke about during the 2018 budget are still in there. It's yet that they're yet to come. So anyway, wanted to clarify that.
Moving forward. Yep. Anyone else? If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 6-0, 2 absent. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3310 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3310 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing an amendment to the fiscal year 2017 capital budget.
Thank you. Is there a motion to dispose of the second reading of Bill 3310?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3310, a budget amendment for the fiscal year 2017 streetlight installation project.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3310. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 6-0, 2 absent. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3311 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3311 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, declaring the results of the November 7, 2017 election.
Thank you. Is there a staff report?
Thank you. I would ask the city clerk to make a staff report on this agenda item.
Thank you. Distributed to each of you before this meeting are the official election results and an amended Bill 3311, which does reflect the difference in the official results from the election. According to the county clerk, there was one ballot that was not tabulated. It was a provisional ballot on the night of the election, which changed the vote on each question by one, either way, yes or no. So that is in front of you before you for consideration.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of staff? Hearing none, is there a motion to dispose of the first reading of Bill 3301?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3311, declaring the November 7, 2017 election results regarding charter amendments.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3311. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and make a statement as we move into discussion. I was going to do it at the end, but I think it's an appropriate spot to read into the record what I would like to say. It's my opinion that last Tuesday, the people of Raymore spoke loudly. While there was a meager turnout at the polls, there was a resounding message sent to City Hall. That message is that we trust you. Frankly, the issues the voters approved were somewhat complicated and laborious to read and to learn, but they approved them. So their approval of all 16 issues really told this elected body that they trust what we are doing. This council in particular, and many over the past 20 years, have worked very hard to build a high level of ethics and trustworthiness into our government system. Your sound judgment in placing professional leaders in important staff positions has also been key to building that public trust. And while there have been a few bumps along the way, the steadiness of the hands that lead this city are what our community has come to appreciate and expect. I want to commend the Charter Commission members as I formally dismiss you from your duties and thank you one and all for your dedication of time and effort to your community. Your devotion to this painstaking process is appreciated beyond words. Thank you to Councilman Derek Moorhead, Chairman of that commission, Councilman Joseph Burke III, former Councilwoman Charlene Hubach, former Councilwoman Stephanie Daring, Mr. Calvin Acklin, Mr. Sheldon Castleman, Mr. Timothy Stidham, Mr. Matthew Wiggins, and Mr. Michael Wilson. You know, good government is the cornerstone to the success of any community, and while our cornerstone is solid now, we must work very hard to keep it that way. And we, as a group, must never violate that public trust. So that I wanted to read that into the record because I'm extremely proud of the work of this body and the body of the commission, and wanted to openly thank them for that hard work. Is there any other discussion at this time? Mr. Moorhead.
Well, first I'll say I'm very humbled and appreciative of those kind words. I do wish to add that we were not able to achieve what we did, but for the fact of 3 people on the staff who assisted us and really kept things in order and really kind of kept us at times in order. First is Mr. Fearborn, our city manager, our city attorney, Mr. Zur, as well as other members of his firm, and Miss Warner, who, like I said, was really the person that kept us, the glue that kept us together. So I also wish to add respectfully the staff members that assisted as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 6-0, 2 absent. Can I please have the first reading of Bill 3312 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3312 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Dayco Painting, Inc. for the Public Works Maintenance Facility Interior Painting Project, City Project Number 17-281-201, in the amount of $16,443, and authorizing the city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you. Is there a staff report?
Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Krass to make a staff report on this agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. Fearborn, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This project involves the interior, painting of the interior office areas and break areas of the Public Works facility. We do recommend award to Dayco Painting. The Finance Department and Purchasing Department have checked their references and found everything to be in order. That concludes staff report.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of staff? If there are none, is there a motion to dispose of Bill 3312?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3312, an award of contract for the Public Works Interior Painting Project.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3312. Any further discussion? Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of my first semi-professional jobs when I was 16 was to be a painter for Independent School District for 6 years, and I ran the crew for 3. And I looked at these bids and I thought, wow, this one that we're going with is $40,000 less than another bid. And so I went through and looked at the rest of their references very closely, and I feel like that they seem like they know how to bid a little better than some of these other companies. And obviously they've done a lot of these similar types of projects in other locations, so it looks like a good choice to me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kellogg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll dovetail off of that, and just to solidify that, there is a section in the contract, I don't know what, Section P, dealing with prevailing wage, which most people think that prevailing wage drives the bid up, but Mr. Burke just pointed out that this bid was substantially lower, and the requirements of this contract do provide for prevailing wage. I thought that I would just point that out and give food for thought for people to think about. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to dispose of Bill 3312?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 33. Actually, Mr. Mayor, I believe we already had a motion.
That's what we were discussing. I got to listen to what Joe was saying. I forgot if we had a motion or not. Okay, hearing nothing other, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 6-0, 2 absent. Thank you. Could we please have the first reading of Bill 3307 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3307 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing award of contract to Holiday FX for the purchase, installation, removal, and storage of holiday lights for City Hall in Centerview.
Thank you, sir. Staff report. I didn't miss that, did I?
Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Reekie to make the staff report.
Thank you, sir. This past year, the City Council directed staff to investigate options for adding holiday lights to City Hall and Centerview. Staff publicized a request for proposals in October of 2017 and received one response. Following discussion from the City Council at its November 6 work session, staff recommends awarding the contract for holiday lighting to Holiday FX. A breakdown of materials, labor costs have been attached in your packet.
Any questions of staff? I know this was an item on the work session. Mr. Holman, go ahead.
If approved, they're going to install on like December 4th. Is that what I read in the packet?
It would be the last week of November.
Oh,
so after the second reading, we would be able to schedule them. And we have the owner of Holiday FX here with us tonight as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Mr. Kellogg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I was reading through this, it calls for the comparison of incandescent compared to LED for us. What I assume is to compare and look for what's best for us. What my question would be, knowing that LEDs, you pretty much can control them with controllers to control the color. But with incandescent, it's determined by the bulb. If we were to go, or if we do choose to go with incandescent, will we expect to see a solid one color or multicolor on the facilities?
The expectation as part of what we wrote into the RFP was a single color for incandescent bulbs.
Okay. The pictorials show a red, and I'm not saying that probably what it will be, but common sense tells me it probably will be either red or white or green. But that I just couldn't see that in the agenda to have the clarification. But I definitely wanted that, and I definitely support a solid color. I think it looks great. But anyway, other than that, I think I'm micromanaging, but that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions of staff? Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to dispose of Bill 3307?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3307, an award of contract for holiday lights at City Hall and Centerview.
I'll second the motion.
Motion been made and seconded to approve Bill 3307. Any further discussion? Ms. Abdelgawad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I shared at the work session, I love the idea of lighting up City Hall. I remember that former council member, Ms. Hubach, talked about that for several years and really hoped that we would get that done. However, I I just can't support spending almost $15,000 on this. I think that that cost is outrageous. Of course, I've never lit up a building this big, nor this big and Centerview, but I just don't feel like it's responsible for us to spend this kind of money for lights on our building.
Mr. Kellogg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I totally respect and appreciate what Sonia is saying, and I'm not going to say what I have to say to shoot you down. But what I see this as is a possible leaping off point for something possibly bigger. I've lived in communities and been in other communities during the Christmas time where the focus around the holidays, I'll speak of Des Moines, Iowa. Nolan Plaza, they took a leap of faith and they decorated it one year with many lights. That grew into a celebration of the city to where they brought in what they called Fire and Ice. They had not only a light show, but a fireworks show. You know, that's why I'm so supportive of this, is something that could celebrate this time of the year alongside and with like what we do on the 4th of July. I don't know that that's what's going to happen. I'm not saying that I'm suggesting that, but something like this could spark that, and that's why I support it so passionately. You know, so that's what I got to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Holman.
Thank you, sir. Just for clarification, the roughly $15,000 that Councilmember Abdelgawad referred to, about $4,000 or slightly over $4,000 of that is the initial cost of purchasing the lights, which we would then own from then on. The remainder of the cost is, of course, the labor and the rental of the equipment to put it up. So the cost does go down in the second year. And I would share and concur with Councilmember Kellogg's comments. I believe that during our community conversations and during our citizen surveys, people talk repeatedly of a gathering place and the spirit of the community coming together. And I think that the intangibles from this project are well worth the price. The way that people view our city and the way people feel about our city is very important to not only us, but all of our residents. That's why I think this project is important.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to note that one of my constituents emailed me and had some concerns about the project, and I hope they'll understand that I'm going to disagree with them and vote for this. I think this is going to be an opportunity for us to learn and see how it works, and then we can build from there, and hopefully you know, we can do more in the city in the future. I know some of the other constituents have talked about wanting to have flags all along 58 Highway. People like to have things to be proud of our community about, and I certainly don't want to be a Grinch. Thanks.
Okay, anyone? Mr. Berenson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also think that the price seems a little on the high side, and again, I've never lit up anything other than my own house, so. I do, however, believe that it's a good opportunity for us to showcase our city, and I hope that we take advantage of this to help market our city with economic development and everything else that's going on right now. And I think I mentioned this at a work session. I would also like for us maybe a year or two down the road to look more seriously at what it would cost to permanently light these buildings so that we can change the theme of the lighting throughout the year or through the different events and see if maybe on a 10 years down the road, this would be less expensive than doing this annually. But I do support this for now, and I think it'll look nice. It's expensive, but I think it's going to be money well spent if we properly use it to showcase our city. Thank you.
Mr. Moorhead.
Why not all, if everybody's going to talk here? I've actually, for a number of years, have had residents ask, why don't you light up City Hall? Why am I driving around seeing neighbors lighting their houses and it's pitch black here? You know, I'm not going to sit and say, I don't know if we can really say it's too expensive because we have nothing to base it on. But I will say this, I don't think the people of the plaza complain about the cost of the lights. I don't think people at Longview Farms complain about the cost of the lights. The fact is, it's a celebration at a time we're supposed to be celebrating, and we're spending a little money and showing that we as a city are stepping up and celebrating too. And to not have this to be a dark zone, it's worth it. Like I said, I've had constituents tell me that this is a long time in coming. I'm very supportive of it.
Well, I feel like I've had a roll call vote here, but I'll go ahead and ask all those in favor. Opposed? 5 yes, 1 no, and 2 absent. Motion passes. Can I please have the first reading of Bill 3313 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3313 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute an extended and amended employment agreement with Jim Fearborn for the services of a city manager, authorizing approval of this ordinance and execution of the contract herein for city manager for orderly administration of the legal, administrative, and contractual matters of the city.
Mr. Zuri, you going to provide us a staff report?
Mayor, members of the council, I'd be happy to do so. Thank you very much. As you all are aware, the city contract for the city manager's position has come up for review, and it's recently been altered so that it will occur in November as opposed to a different time of the year, making it more convenient for purposes of budgetary evaluation. As part of the process, you all have had the opportunity to review Mr. Fearborn, engage in discussion with him regarding his job objectives and goals. The results of that have been the bill that you see before you this evening, identified as Bill 3313, along with the staff report and the attached extended and amended employment agreement. In review of that, what you will find is I've gone in order to adjust that based upon the increase in the base salary as negotiated. We also have an effective date made effective for the contract as November 1, 2017, so as not to have any gap in the employment agreement. Finally, and based upon the most recent election results, the provisions of the charter have been altered so as to remove the indefinite period of time, and so you'll see that also included within there. Mr. Fearborn and I both had the opportunity to discuss that. So those are the 3 changes principally that you would find within the terms of the amended and extended contract that you have before you this evening. I'd be happy to answer any additional questions you might have regarding that.
Mr. Holman.
Just a comment. Mr. Zur, I would like to thank you for your advice and counsel and consent during the contract negotiations of Mr. Fearborn.
Anyone else? Hearing none, all those, is there a motion to dispose of Bill 3313?
Mr. Mayor, I strongly move that we approve Bill 3313 for the approval of amended employment agreement regarding our city manager.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3313. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries unanimously, 6-0, 2 absent. That concludes our formal agenda. We're now moving into public comments. If anyone would like to address the council at this time, please step forward to the microphone, give your name and address for the record, and please keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. Mr. Holman.
Just a comment, sir. It is getting very late in the school year for the American Government Project. There are a number of students here. I believe since they've been here all night, it's a short meeting. I think they should all take this opportunity to come up, state their name and address for the record, and give us one thing they took from the meeting tonight.
Mr. Mayor, if that's a motion, I'll second it.
They're all out of order, kids. I mean, if you want to, come on up. No takers? Anybody? It's your opportunity to get on TV. No?
Take a leap of faith. We did. There you go.
All right.
My name is Anna Patterson, and I state my address too, right?
Yes.
1306 East Hubach Hill Road. Like about the lights, that's what I was getting from. Like, I agree with that. I would love to see like the lights, and like it's a good way to like bond with my family, and like I'd be proud to see that over.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for stepping up. Anyone else? Did you have something else, Mr. Holman?
Yes.
You're using up all your time.
There is a reason that Ms. Patterson came up. She is an incredibly brave soul that runs on the Ray-Pec High School girls cross-country team that took second at state last weekend, I believe.
That's right.
Congratulations.
Anyone else? If there are none, we'll move on to mayor-council communication. Mr. Burke, I'm going to start with you tonight, sir.
I have nothing this evening, unbelievably. Thank you.
All right. Sonia, do you have anything?
Sure. I just wanted to take a second and thank Mr. Icky for the very detailed information about trash and that changeover, and not just the information tonight, but all of the preparation that he's done. It seems like we have a very detailed plan. We have reached out to people to get their opinions. We continue to reach out to them to let them know about what's going to be happening. I think that's really important. I know it's been a lot of work for him, and so I just wanted to thank him for all of the work that he's put into that. And then while I'm talking about it, I'll just remind everybody, because I think it's kind of catchy, even though I'm sure it was accidental. You just have to go to raymore.com/trash. I think that's kind of neat. I also want to echo the mayor's thank you to the Charter Review Committee. I know that was a lot of work. They spent a lot of time here together digging through our charter and making recommendations for revisions, and also to the staff who supported them. You guys were here and did the work as well. So thanks to everyone who was involved in that. And also thanks for the people who came out and voted. We usually get low turnout, but it is important. And so thanks to those people who voted for making the effort to support the important things that keep our city running. I thought I had one other thing, but now I don't see it. So I guess that's all.
Okay.
Thanks.
Mr. Berenson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also want to thank the Charter Committee along with city staff for all the work you did. Glad that we got through that, and glad to see the voter turnout and the support from the voters we got. Also want to thank Mr. Haddock for coming tonight. We appreciate all your involvement with the improvements over the water billing, and thank you for coming out in person and being here for that. On the lights, I'm looking forward to seeing those. I think they'll look great for the mayor's Christmas tree lighting. That's December 1st, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. And they'll be up in time for that, so I'm glad to hear that. And then I'll close with thanking Ms. Patterson for coming tonight. Since she's in my ward, I'll say thank you very much. Good job. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Kellogg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to thank Mr. Haddock. When I was reading through the agenda as I did, and I'm like, who in the world would, what's the complaint about what we did with the water bill and the deposit? And I was kind of curious. You surprised me, caught me completely off guard. Thank you for noticing what we're doing, and thank you for your kind comments. I couldn't agree with you more, and it's just, I guess justification, not justification, but validation, and it's nice. It's nice to hear from the public. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart. You didn't have to be up here tonight. I'm sure you could have been sitting at home, but thank you again. Ms. Patterson, thank you for having the courage to stand up and showing the leadership. I appreciate it, and good things to come out of that. When young people get involved and have the courage to stand up and say something that they feel in their heart, it's good. So good job. Well done. I will take a quick moment to personally thank Chief Zimmerman for the assistance that I've gotten in the last week. I've spoken with the constituent and very, very pleased. And thank you and your staff for the response, the help, and the care of our community, and particularly our neighborhood. Charter Committee, also, thank you. Hats off. Very well done. Two of you here tonight, but there's many more also, particularly, and I can't remember all their names, but there's two of them I do remember. Actually 5, but 2 of them from my ward, Mr. Tim Stidham and Sheldon Castleman. Thank you both for stepping up and taking on that huge undertaking, and everybody else also, because it was big. It was at least 14 to 16 months, and it was a big undertaking, and it is appreciated and recognized. Also, it's been said tonight, and I haven't done this very often, but Mr. Zur, thank you for all of your help, your guidance, and counsel through with what we went through here lately. And that sounds bad, but it's not bad. But it was very apparent to this council, I believe, because this is the second comment that has thanked you for sitting along with us through the city manager's evaluations. It greatly appreciated. So, and my last one is, Mr. Feuerborn, thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing Raymore when you did. Congratulations on the new contract, and I'm extremely proud of you and what you do for this city. Thanks again. My hat is off to you. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Mr. Moorhead.
I'll start talking about the charter review. You know, our charter is really our Constitution, and much of the work that we did was not designed to try to change it or do anything really dramatic. State law changes a lot, and we wanted to make sure that our rules were consistent with its rules. So much of what we did was just looking for inconsistencies, making sure things made sense, properly defined things. I know we came up with a lot of questions, and I appreciate everybody's patience with them. But I had the opportunity to work with a lot of people. Many of them I didn't know before it. I made friends. I respect all of them. And I really do very proud of what got accomplished and what the citizens valued. I did forget one person, and that's Mr. Icky. He did a great deal communicating what we did out to the community. That was no small feat. We had a lot of language there, and he got it out to us, got it out to everybody, and I really appreciate what he and his staff did. And I'm very proud of the faith that the mayor extended and the council extended in us to allow us to accomplish that feat. So I'm very appreciative tonight. Mr. Haddock, thank you. It's not just for the good words. We like bad words too. But the idea is when we deal with water and sewer, we understand that these are pivotal to people. And we understand that any change, good or bad, affects people and sometimes can scare them a little bit. And we are very sincere about wanting to make sure whatever we do, people understand can help them or how to adapt to that change. And I appreciate you recognizing that. And as someone who has a son who will be sitting in your place here in a couple of weeks, who, by the way, has not sat here yet, and I will remind him when I go home, thank you for coming. Thank you, because you guys someday will be sitting up here or participating with your community as well. And that goes a long way. You may vote for a president that you'll never meet, but folks, you will feel what we do every Monday. Pay attention to your city council. That goes a long way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Holman.
Thanks, sir. I'm going to start off with a real simple welcome back, Mr. Feuerborn. The second thing is, again, I would also like to pile onto the comments. Thank you to Mr. Haddock and Ms. Patterson. You want to remember that the people that sit up here at this table truly believe in their heart that they want to do the best thing that they can for 20,000 people. They want to try and improve your lives. And so most of the validation we receive comes in the form of silence. Because if we do something that people don't like, staff hears about it very quickly. We will occasionally get comments via the website, Mr. Icky, the citizen survey, or community conversations, but those are fairly rare. So it is very good to hear validation that even if just one person, that we're doing the right thing that you think is improving your life even in the smallest amount. Thank you very much for having the courage to stand up and say that. I would like to thank the Park and Recs staff and the entire city for those that attended the Veterans Day presentation that the city did last week. It was cold, it was windy, we had a smaller crowd, it was through the week, but you know what, it's still important to remember those that served our country and those that paid the ultimate sacrifice. And it may seem a little odd We've known each other for a long time, but I would like to take this opportunity to thank the mayor for his service. 20-plus years, I believe, in Navy Reserve, am I correct? A tour in Iraq. And to Mr. Berenson for 20-plus years in Air Force Reserve, am I correct, sir? Thank you for your service. Congratulations and thank you to the Charter Commission and all the work that you did. That's a daunting task when put in front of you, and you know you're going to be sitting in that seat every night or every week or every month for a year. You did a good job with it, and obviously the citizens agree with you, so thank you for that. Mr. Crass, I've had the opportunity to drive on the completed portions of 155th Street lately. Thank you very much. The pavement is smoother, the potholes are gone. You can see those light reflective raised pavement markers. That road is a much more of a pleasure to drive on than it ever was. It's not perfect, but at least it's safer and you can see it a lot better. And I didn't know, are you going to do edge striping on that as well?
The final lift of asphalt, weather permitting, is supposed to go down tomorrow, and then yes, we'll be striping it either later in the week or early next week.
Outstanding work. Thank you. Please pass that on to your staff, sir. It's very good for all of us. And to my favorite group here tonight, the American government students, I have good news and bad news. Good news is you're going to get out of here in roughly about an hour, which is a fairly short meeting. Bad news is it's not close enough yet to the new Star Wars movie. Every year for the past 2 years, I do a State of the City speech. The mayor does the official one, but I do one using Star Wars terms the meeting before the new Star Wars movie comes out. Sorry, you're too early for that. I do go over and do a Cliff Notes versions of what we went over tonight, so if any of you slept through this or were on your cell phone, I'm going to help you catch up on your notes for the paper that you have to write for the project. So most of what we did, you all would consider pretty boring or mundane, but we approved a lot of stuff in second reading. We changed some of our schedule of fees and some of our wording that goes in basically for the end user and paying your water bill, okay? So we made some changes there, and as you heard Mr. Haddock say, he, for one at least, believes that that's going to be better for him as a citizen. It's going to be more user-friendly. For the person that actually pays that water bill, can track things and knows when it's due, it's going to be better for them, hopefully. Same thing with the sewer bill. Comes on the same bill, but it's actually two separate accounts and two separate charges and funds. We gave an award of contract for Memorial Park improvements. For those of you not familiar, Memorial Park is over behind Raymore Elementary, and we're going to try and improve that park for the users of that. We have the trail system through there you may walk or run on. We have some ball fields. If you have younger siblings, they may have ball games over there during the summer and warmer months. We want to try and make that a little easier for example, for people with disabilities to be able to get in there and enjoy themselves. Street lights, we're going to Kevin spoke to this at length. We're putting up more street lights. This is the 2017 projects, and then our 2018 projects actually will begin, at least as far as availability, November 1st. So the next set of that's a continuous project. We recently bought all of our street lights from KCP&L. We are the only city in Missouri to have done that. There are about 3 or 4 on the Kansas side. Saved us a lot of money. The other things, we obviously certified the election results. You all vote, or those of voting age, voted in the election last week on the changes to our charter. As Councilmember Moore had noted, it's our version of a constitution. There were 16, 17 questions on that. The voters approved all 17 of those recommended changes to our constitution, if you will. Once an election is done, that is not the final say. Those election results have to be certified by this body by Missouri law. And so that's what we did tonight. We put the final ink to that, minus the mayor's signature tomorrow, I believe, which will make those official. We are going to paint Mr. Crass's work area and those of his colleagues. It needs a little bit of work over there, and so we authorized that. They're going to do a little bit of housekeeping over there that's needed. And then I think everybody knows about the Christmas lights, as Ms. Patterson so eloquently came up and talked about liking that project. And then we're going to keep Mr. Fearborn around a little bit longer. Very well deserved. We renewed his contract and made a few changes to that. So if that's not enough to write the paper, sorry, best I can do, go home and watch the tape. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And with that, is there a need to go into executive session, sir?
No, sir.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? 6 yeas, no nays, 2 absent. We're adjourned.